The other problem, the really big problem with capitalism as it is now, and this is rarely mentioned, is simply that...
Richard, any words of advice to the forum of how to regain its former glories?
Not at the moment, no.
It is so easy to produce things that in so doing we produce crap, and through advertising, or perhaps even without advertising, we want the crap. We're going to buy lots and lots of money for it, devote lots and lots of time to it. With, home internet, which most people in the developed world now have, I guess. Not all of us, but most of us have home internet. We have the world's crap at our fingertips. I'm not saying that all that's on the internet is crap, of course it's not. But because there is so much crap there, and because curiosity is unlimited, we can get bogged down looking at crap forever and ever, in a day, in a month, in a week, in a year, in a life. And being in friendship with God that gives us a real human identity.
You are saying.
Other things don't give us that. What we do doesn't give us that. For after all, what we do will be correct. We can't always do it. We can seek out it. As a Catholic believer, I can tell you that my priest is a vocation. My job...
You got a question from the floor?
It's not a vocation.
What were you going to say? We got a question.
It's a job. Yeah.
You started your speech saying that you did a lot of research.
Correct.
And now you are saying that you are a Catholic believer.
Correct.
Well, to me, there is a big contradiction.
Correct.
It's an enormous contradiction.
Because most people believe that the more you know, the less...
What kind of research did you do?
A very thorough one.
That you ended up believing in a God that punished you, watching you, and how can you? What kind of research?
All sorts of things. Now, I really need to qualify that, no matter how much my research was. Obviously, I've not been able to research everything that is possible. But I did manage to get through various significant viewpoints, whether they be religious, Christian, philosophical, political, and so on and so on. In the process, I actually learned a lot about Christianity, realized that what I believed I had known about Christianity was incorrect, if not downright misrepresentation of Christianity. And this is the point, you see, that most anti-Christian people like I was are simply not well versed in what it is they claim to be against.
Can you qualify?
For example,
when you say you were anti-Christian,
yeah.
How qualify that?
I was into New Age kind of teachings which practically made man, in some sense, God, without any external God. It would take me too long to go into that, but basically, we often make a distinction between New Age teachings and so. But as an actual economic prospect, it has died. Communism hasn't died. It's still very much alive in China.
That's right.
And much of Asia. The fact that they are, now very much into capitalism does not mean very much.
No.
Lenin also allowed some capitalism in his communist Russia, just to keep the economy going for a while. Marxism as an economic revolutionary movement is virtually dead. Sure, we've got radical groups around, but they're not very popular outside the unis.
There's still an anarchist group. I drove past it on the way here in Melbourne.
Quite so. Anarchism being the left wing of Marxism and something like that. So Marxism and anarchism are certainly not the same, but they do tend to cooperate a lot.
But they are also wrong because they are based in another doctrine.
I think they're wrong, period.
But because it's another different kind of dogma, but it still is a dogma.
There's a number of problems with capitalism. One is that people get very greedy,
Yeah.
cutthroat competition, because people get greedy, they want to make lots and lots of profit,
Yeah.
and that's not good. There's that problem. The other problem, the really, really big problem with capitalism as it is now, and this is rarely mentioned, is simply that we produce crap and we consume crap, and the crap we produce and consume makes us worse human beings. That's what's really wrong with capitalism as it is now. It is so easy to produce things
Yeah.
that in so doing we produce crap, and through advertising, or perhaps even without advertising, we want the crap. We're willing to pay lots and lots of money for it, devote lots and lots of time to it. With, home internet, which most people in the developed world now have, I guess. Not all of us, but most of us have home internet. We have the world's crap at our fingertips.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that all that's on the internet is crap, of course it's not. But because there is so much crap there, and because curiosity is unlimited, we can get bogged down looking at crap forever and ever, in a
That's
day,
right.
in a month, in a week,
Yep.
in a year, in a life.
Yep.
This is a crap that we can see and touch and experience and is real. No others selling a crap.
See, the thing about being
No
in the
real
friendship of God is that it makes us truly human.
And it's basic needs.
It's a working process, this becoming truly human through friendship with God. But it does make us truly human. In other words, it is God and God alone, and being in friendship with God, that gives us a real human identity. Other things don't give us that. What we do doesn't give us that. For after all, what we do will come to an end. We can't always do it. We get sick of it. Look, you know the difference between a job and a vocation, don't you? As a Catholic believer, I can tell you that a priest is a vocation. My job in an office on a computer is not a vocation. Believe me, it's not. It's a job. Yeah.
You started your speech saying that you did a lot of research.
Correct?
And now you are saying that you're a Catholic believer.
Correct?
Well, to me, there is a big contradiction.
Correct?
It's an enormous contradiction.
Because most people believe that the more you know, the less religious you
What
get.
research did you do
A very thorough one.
that you ended up believing in a God that punished you, watching you? How can you?
The correct paradigm here, all sorts of things. Now, I really need to qualify that, no matter how much my research was. Obviously, I have not been able to research everything, that's just simply not possible. But I did manage to get through various significant viewpoints, whether they be religious, Christian and non-Christian. Philosophical, political, and so on and so on. In the process, I actually learned a lot about Christianity, realized that what I believed I had known about Christianity was incorrect, if not downright misrepresentation of Christianity. And this is the point, you see, that most anti-Christian people like I was are simply not well versed in what it is they claim to be against.
Can you qualify?
For example,
Can you say you were anti-Christian?
yeah.
How qualify that?
I was into New Age kind of teachings which basically made man, in some sense, God, without any external God. It would take me too long to go into that, but basically we often make a distinction between New Age teachings and secular humanism, atheism. We should not do that. It is true that the two things are not the same, but in reality, and also much New Age teaching is really, really crass. But in reality, the two have a lot in common. Neither of them, none of those are movements and believe in a real external person of God.
Thanks.
So whether we regard man in a secular sense or in a mystical New Age sense, we still regard people who hold those views regard man as the center of the universe. By all means, as a Christian, I believe that God created man to be, as a creature, the center of the universe. But God is not a creature, God is a creator, and God the creator is the center of the universe. Insofar as we know that, and insofar as we worship God, we find our true self. We don't find our true self by looking inside us and finding God within us. Not unless we've had conversion and repentance and actually allowed God to actually find us. But if not, then by searching within us, we don't find God, we find ourselves.
Are you going to...
And she's going to talk next, yes.
Well, look, I think that's cool. I'm thinking of coming next week and doing my speech where I don't speak here, I speak out there and that. So
what if we put your sign here and you get the background here and then we stand here? It's more like a proper amphitheatre.
But are you coming next week?
If you want me to, if it's not raining.
So that's when New Age and Eastern meditation teachings go very, very wrong.
Give a little 5-minute Christmas speech if you wouldn't mind.
They teach, and I should know a little bit about what they teach. I used to follow some of them. They teach that we have a part of God inside us, and basically, and let's not go into how one actually does that, but basically they teach that it is possible by finding one's true self, one's spiritual self, to find God within oneself. There is no real scope for acknowledgement of sin, no real scope for repentance, no real scope for calling on God, a real external God and His Son, Jesus Christ, to actually help us to actually become a different kind of human being, or start to become a different kind of human being. The idea is that we are already perfect, and all we need to do is look inside us in some sense, and we will discover the divinity within us. They don't necessarily teach that we, in our body, mind, thinking, emotions, and so on, are God. They usually teach that it's only our inner part, which is a part of God, not the body as such. But the point remains that the teaching is false.
You can call God anything.
The teaching is false. We do not
people
discover
do.
God by
Their own car becomes a
us.
God. People, that's right. Well, that's quite true.
If God has come to dwell inside our heart by grace following conversion and repentance, then maybe we can say that we can find God within us in that case and in that situation, but not otherwise. God is not our birthright. We're not naturally born. We're not born with God within us. As creatures, we were created in God's image, but God's image was corrupted.
Thank you. Not me.
As a result, human beings, instead of being focused on God as we should be, have become self-focused, focused on ourselves. We talk a lot about people feeling depressed and so on,
Come on, Rosa.
because of things that happen in life. There's two very different types of depression. One is clinical, depression, and the other is depression because of immaturity, but it's not really immaturity. It is simply that we have chosen to focus on ourselves, our self-image, instead of our Creator. To the extent we do that, and regardless of whether it is ourselves or other people we focus on, to the extent we focus on ourselves or on other people, to that extent we are likely to make ourselves very miserable. Joy comes out of friendship with God who created us, not through having many friends, both Facebook friends and real friends, but that alone is not going to make us joyous. We do need friends. Man is a social being, and God created us to be social and to help each other out.
You have no evidence whatsoever that God created.
I've been away for 2 hours.
Nothing. You have no evidence whatsoever.
But what I will say to you then is, we know that as human beings we are very sick, not necessarily physically so, though of course at times that as well, right? Not even necessarily psychologically sick in the strict sense of psychological, but on the inside we are sick, and we know this, because we find ourselves in a vacuum. We find ourselves unable to fulfill ourselves.
Who take drugs.
You find yourselves able to fulfill yourself?
The evidence is everywhere. People taking drugs, getting drunk on alcohol, shattered, broken lives because they can't seem to find their way. They've lost their way. That's why there's so many addictions in this world.
Yeah.
And what? That is an evidence that God created.
Now, I'm answering the question that you asked him, which was, how do people, because he said that people have lost their way, and I'm giving examples, and they're everywhere.
Well, if that is the evidence you have, you're
I
really
think that the problem here is that you're looking for intellectual evidence. I cannot give you any on the spot, though I could point you to books that can do that. But the point is that intellectual evidence alone is non-conclusive. It cannot be conclusively seen. What I'm telling you is that the whole point of Christ is to show us our real condition and then to step in and to actually start to change us into a different kind of human being. We don't accomplish it fully in this life, we can only start it in this life. And the real change is when we become less focused, psychologically speaking, on ourselves and other people. You've met people who are very sensitive, you know, who get insulted very easily now. Some of that might be psychophysiological, right? Some of that might not be. But the point is that we can become so self-centered, so psychologically sensitive in our personality, our self-image, as to feel so hurt when people don't like us or say something about us that's not nice. Sometimes, actually quite often in today's society, we actually do things merely because other people do them, you know, social morality. What is correct, you know, morally speaking, socially speaking? Well, simply what everyone does is correct.